Members of the Athletic Directors Search Committee, we'd like to thank each and every one of you. We have several members of our state legislature with us today. Several of our head coaches are with us as well. We are so pleased to have with us the all-time winningest coach and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Coach Gary Pinkel, with us today, and his wife, Missy. We also have the SEC Coach of the Year in football as well, Eli Drinkwitz, with us as well. Shout out to Darius Robinson, who went number 27 to the Atlanta Falcons. Several more to follow over the next few days. We have many proud leaders in our institution. They'd like to share their words with you about our program's future. So without further ado, please welcome our first speaker, the transformative leader of our campus and university system, Dr. Moon Choi.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's so exciting to be here today. And let me first share my deep appreciation for the search committee led by curator Bob Blitz, along with curators Robin Wenneker, Todd Graves, Jeff Lehman, and so many others that identified not just a leader, the best leader for MU athletics in Laird Veatch. Thank you. So Laird is our 22nd athletics director, but he's not coming alone. He brought entire Manhattan, Kansas with him today. In fact, we have joining him his wife, Brandy, his children, Jordan, Taylor, Sydney, and Drew, his parents, as well as his mother and father-in-law with his brother. If you're from Manhattan, Kansas, can you stand and face the crowd? Please stand. You know, obviously, if you live in Manhattan, you love Kansas State. But we beat Kansas State this year, and we're going to keep beating them. That's because he's not playing linebacker for them. But it's really great to have all of you as Tigers. This search was a very important search, and the curators really insisted that we take our time and find the right person, and I'm glad we did. And in Drew, in Laird, we have an athletics director that we can all be very proud. So this is for the student athletes that are here, the coaches, the athletics department staff, and all of the fans who asked us to find the person that is a perfect fit for us. So this hire is really for all of you. I want to thank you for your support and your continuing support going into the future. I would also like to thank Marcy Gurdon. Marcy, where are you? Marcy, please stand. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for believing in us. And you are a valued leader at the University of Missouri, so thank you. So Laird is a proven leader. He was a former linebacker and captain of his team for Kansas State, and he brings that linebacker's ethos of passion, hard work, and toughness. We're going to need all of that to compete with the best teams, not just in the SEC, but across the nation. And he is also a proven fundraiser and has had great success at every stop along his very illustrious career. He also knows the Mizzou community very well. I've received so many phone calls from people, whether they live in Columbia or people like Roger Gardner from Dallas that said, he is the right person. All of this signals that we did the right job. So I'm so pleased. We have some big steps ahead. The curators and the administration announced the $250 million Memorial Stadium projects, and we need to raise some money. He's going to help us do that, but it's a collective effort because that facility will enable us to develop the players, recruit the players, retain them, win championships, and then drive the revenues and help support all the other sports. So we're very excited. And without further ado, I want to congratulate Laird for making the right choice. And I want to congratulate all of you for having such a wonderful leader lead Mizzou athletics. Thank you very much. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce the chair of the Board of Curators, Ms. Robin Winokur.
You might hear some common themes in our remarks. Thank you, President Choi. On behalf of the University of Missouri Board of Curators, I'd like to give a very warm welcome to our new athletic director, Laird Veatch. And thank you, Vice Chair Graves and Curator Sinkfield, for joining us today. I also want to share my appreciation for Curator Blitz, the search committee, and President Choi for selecting the best candidate to serve as our next AD. And certainly not to be overlooked, the board would also like to commend the incredible leadership over the past several months of interim athletics director, Marcy Garten. Thank you, Marcy. And thank you to all of our administrators, coaches, and leaders in athletics for your dedication and determination over these several months. Now, on to our new athletic director, Laird Veatch. The committee sought an athletic director who could capitalize on the momentum we've built, bring new ideas with an eye toward the future, and drive our athletics program to new heights, heights we are capable of reaching. That's why Laird Veatch is here today. Similarly to President Choi, since the announcement of Laird being named our 22nd athletic director, the board has heard from our donors, current and former athletic department staff, former student athletes, campus colleagues, peers from other universities, our students, business leaders, elected officials, and former ADs, Mike Alden and Joe Castiglione, on their excitement for this selection. On a personal note, I remember Laird coming to Mizzou in 1997, a new member of the Tiger Scholarship Fund, fresh out of graduate school, and hired by then Mizzou AD, now Oklahoma AD, Joe Castiglione. It is exciting to have a director of athletics who knows and loves our university and our state. Laird has the passion for excellence we all share at the university, from the classroom to the athletic field. Like all of us at Mizzou, AD Veatch aspires to set the pace, always pushing to raise the bar, not only for ourselves, but for the SEC and higher education. With Coach Drinkwitz and our football team's delivery of one of the best seasons in Mizzou football history and great promise throughout the entirety of our athletic program, Mizzou has earned attention like never before. Our coaches and student athletes have galvanized the support of Tiger Nation, and expectations are high. That's the environment AD Veatch is walking into, a time of transformation, and it is clear he is ready to go. I was thinking Monday night about the late Mr. Mizzou, John Cadillac. Coach Cadillac knew Laird as a K-State football player and heralded AD Veatch joining the Mizzou Athletic Department staff in 1997. And Coach never stopped sharing what an exceptional person, family man, and professional AD Veatch is. Laird, how incredibly proud and thrilled Coach Cadillac would be that you are back home with us. AD Veatch is a true son of the Midwest. He shares our values, our vision, and the common sense for which the state is known. We could not be more thrilled to welcome Laird Veatch and his family back to Missouri and to Mizzou. Thank you, Laird, for accepting the role of being our new athletic director. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today for what I believe one day will be considered a signature moment in the history of Mizzou athletics. I'd now like to turn our program back to our dynamic and visionary president, Dr. Moon Choi.
This is a time where we present gifts to the new AD and also to the family. So Brandy and children, the Veatch, please come on up this way. And please join me over here. and the curator. I think you're good. Okay. And you can stand over here. Do you know why that is number 22?
22nd athletic director. You got it. I passed the first test.
We want you here for 22 years.
Amen.
It's now my great pleasure to introduce the 22nd Athletics Director at the University of Missouri, Laird Veatch.
MIZ. Wow. It is so great to be back. Thank you. President Choi, curators Robin Winokur, Bob Blitz, everybody associated with the committee, thank you. I am unbelievably grateful for this opportunity. And I know how cliche this is, but it is a dream come true. Thank you for making my dreams come true. This is not only a homecoming for my wife Brandy and I, but we are so fortunate to be here now. This Mizzou momentum thing is very real, and I can't wait to be a part of it. Let me be very direct from the beginning. There's nothing more important than football success, particularly in this conference. Coach Drink, I can't wait to partner with you on what you're doing. Coach Drink, keep it going, keep it going. I know we have a lot of success in many of our sports, our Olympic sports and others. You'll see Brandy and I at everything, supporting everything, and we can't wait to be a part of it. I also love the progressive approach this state took to NIL. One of the things that I really like about it is the alignment that it took between the athletic department, the university, and the state to make that happen, and what that could also mean for our continued future in this environment. And I can't wait to get rolling with the big-time vision you set for the North End Zone Project at Memorial Stadium. And I also recognize that none of that happens without great leadership and without great vision. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your commitment to athletics, for recognizing what it can be, the impact it can have on the institution, for your willingness to invest. It's one of the reasons why I'm excited to be here. As you might imagine, this is an incredibly special full circle life moment for my family and I, particularly for Brandy. President Choi kind of stole the show there with my family, bringing them up here. I didn't know we were going to do all that. I was going to make them stand up again. I know it's a reintroduction for many of you with my wife Brandy, but we have unbelievable memories here. The three girls that you saw on the stage, I'm not going to make them stand up again, were all born here in Columbia. They all wore the Tiger Tot onesies. So this does run really deep. Drew was a little bit of a late addition. He wasn't able to be born here in Columbia, but the rest of them were actually literally got started right here in this community. And I will tell you, the magnitude of this really hit me when I told Brandy. So I was in an office right across from the conference room where the committee was meeting. They were nice enough to walk in. There might have been some high fives, some hugs. I might have done a little dance. It was a pretty exciting moment. And then they allowed me some time to be by myself and call my wife. And I called Brandy, and I had this immediate flashback to something my mother told me. So my folks are in the second row back there. Many, many years ago, I don't remember when it was, but she told me, Laird, at some point in your life, you will look back and be able to see God's hand. And that hit me right then. This is God's hand. This is where we want to be. We have been ready for our forever home. We want to be a place where we can invest in lifelong friendships. This was always it. We just didn't know. So to be clear, there is no transfer portal for the Veatch family. We are committed. I don't want any questions about that from here on out. This is, after all, as Robin pointed out, where it all started. 1997, I shared an office at a grad school with a Mr. Ross Bjork, who is an athletic director at a small school kind of north of here, and Mr. Mizzou, John Cadillac. So you already made me choke up earlier talking about Mr. Mizzou. I have described John as one of my top favorite humans of all time. He taught me a lot. He also taught me about Mizzou and the people here and the passion and the connections you have together. This is where I fell in love with the profession, and in particular, fundraising, and in particular, the relationships that can be built through it and around it. I love how college athletics pulls people together, particularly in a college town like this, particularly when it's literally the center of the state. And I can't wait to get back out there. I will be jumping back out. I will be getting to every corner of the state. I'm going to see old friends. I'm going to make new ones, and I am going to ask for your help. So to be clear, that's the biggest thing I can do, is ask for you to invest and help. Because revenue, like it or not, is the front line of competitiveness in college athletics now. We need your help. We need your support. And I love the fact that there is a vision here to really, truly compete and invest. I am also a competitor. As it was mentioned, I may come across as a nice guy, but I was a linebacker at one point in my day. You know, that is inside me somewhere. I was pleased to see there was a little highlight from a game against Mizzou that was circulating around the internet a little bit. That part didn't bother me. I want to be part of winning it all. I want to win SEC championships, national championships, and I really believe there's something special going on here. It really encourages me now that I just love the fact that you expect to win championships, that is the vision. That is the desire, top to bottom. I feel it. I talk to leadership, and you can tell that there is a real commitment to climbing to the top. Reminds me of a conversation I had with a Mr. Bob Stanley. So for those of you that are nodding your head, have been around there a little while, Bob Stanley was quite possibly the most cerebral football equipment manager of all time. And I remember having a conversation with Bob back in the equipment room one time. It was I was coming off being a football player at Kansas State during that sort of turnaround era and the experience we had, and it was the early years of the Gary Pinkel era. And Coach, I see you back there. Thank you for being here. Coaches, you know why he's a legend? 2 reasons. He won and he stayed. He stayed. Make sure we remember that. So I was having this conversation with Bob Stanley, and we agreed that there's really nothing better than being part of the climb to the top. Getting there is awesome, and I can't wait to get there, but I want to be a part of it, and I'm so fortunate to be joining you while you're on the way up. But to reach the highest point of all, you have to be climbing the biggest mountain, right? The tallest mountain. And I will tell you from my SEC days, there is no question we're on the biggest mountain. I can't wait to be a part of the team, this group, these people, that gets us to the top. So in summary, I'm a Midwest person that wants to be in the Midwest. My wife and family are as well. But we also want to be in the SEC, and we want to win national championships. So as Mr. Todd Grays was nice enough to point out so effectively in the interview, there's one option. Midwest SEC is right here. All right, so I want to take some time to just quickly thank and recognize a few folks. First of all, I do want to say thanks to all my friends and coworkers back in Memphis. We had a great run. I will forever be grateful for the time we had there, for the progress we made together. In addition to my extended family, as President Choi pointed out, I am so thankful for my extended family that came here to visit as well. Matt, I love you, brother. I want to thank our athletic staff. Marcy was pointed out earlier. I want to thank you again, Marcy, for your leadership, what you've done to get us through this time. I know, I've been there, I know what it's like, and I appreciate what you've done. I also want to thank Sandy Matthews ahead of time, because Sandy, I know you are going to take care of me really well. I've heard from Mike and every other AD before me, and I am very grateful for all the work that you have done and will do in the years ahead. Coaches, as I mentioned in our meeting earlier, I believe you drive our success, and I know we have some good ones. In fact, I read a stat as I was doing my research. We had 5 SEC Head Coach of the Year honors in the last 2 years. That's awesome. I'm sure it cost us a little bonus money, but we are happy to play those bonuses. And I do look forward to supporting your efforts and watching more victories in the years ahead. Student athletes in the audience, I think there may be a few. I got into this because I was you. So everything we do is going to be about your experience and about investing in value and support for you and all the things that you do competitively in the classroom and your time here in mid-Missouri. To all of my old friends, our old friends, Brandy, that have reached out to us, so many Mizzou friends, the support, the well wishes, the prayers, we are so thankful. It is really, really overwhelming, to say the least. The number of calls, texts, it's been pretty incredible, and really very, very affirming to the power of friendship. And also, in my mind, a great example of what this ultimately can be all about, bringing people together. I love how college athletics is such a bonding component to a community and to a people. And so many of you that I haven't seen in years, that I may have spent time in your office or in your living room, who have reached out and who I can't wait to see again. I've had a lot of incredible mentors in my time. I've been incredibly fortunate to have some amazing bosses, none more impactful than Mike Alden. Rocky, thank you for being here. I know Mike would love to be here. He had a family commitment, which you know I totally respect, but please give him my best. And while I recognize the responsibility and honor that naturally comes with a leadership position like this, I will tell you, being the member of Alden's Army who was actually promoted to this post provides an extra layer of honor and responsibility that I will take very, very seriously. I also want to thank another legend, as was mentioned earlier, Joe Castiglione, who hired me while we had only a year and a half or 2 years here. Joe has continued to be in my life, continued to be a mentor and supporter, and I'm very grateful for all he's done. So Brandy, thank you for this journey. Thank you for the college athletics adventure that we've enjoyed together. And everyone, thank you for welcoming us home.
One more round of applause for Mini Mizzou. So now we're going to transition into the press conference portion of the afternoon. Just a reminder that we have Dave Matter and Jessica will have microphones, one on my right, one on my left. Raise your hand. They will bring you the appropriate microphone. We ask you, if you will, please give your name and your affiliation so Laird can begin to start putting faces with names. I know you do that, and I sincerely appreciate that. So with that, who would like to ask the first question today? Let's go to Natalie in row 2.
Hi, Natalie Jones with ABC 17 here in Columbia. I was talking to Mike Alden, also your former associate at Memphis, Brad Luce, kind of about your fundraising abilities, and they said there's no one who enjoys being around people and fundraising more than you. Obviously, such an important trait coming into the situation you're in right now. What is it about fundraising and kind of being around people that you kind of thrive in?
Yeah. My dad was a life insurance salesman, sitting right over there, so he waves around. You'll notice if you meet Chuck that he kind of likes people. People kind of like him. So, it also gave me a real sense of the value of sales, which sometimes doesn't always get the recognition and appreciation that it does, because it really is important, because it brings real resources to a company or to an athletic department in this case. But I enjoy the whole thing. I like of course, the relationship part of it, but I also like seeing people come together to invest in something, and the pride and the joy and the fun and the impact that has. It's all a huge process, and it can really move a place forward.
Next question, please. Ben Frederickson.
Laird, hey, Ben Frederickson, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Congratulations. I'm curious, as you've made your climb as an AD, when was the first time you thought, hey, maybe the timing would work out, my trajectory would work out where I could potentially be the AD at Mizzou? And when was the first time that idea maybe entered your mind?
Yeah. Well, I think some of you know, I think it was reported I was part of the process last time, and certainly had hoped and thought that might be the case. I will be candid. I was only at Memphis for a couple years at that point, so the timing was difficult for me, and I struggled with that, but it was Mizzou. So I've turned down interest in others, but this was one that has always been on the radar. So when it came back up, I was back in again, 100%, both feet in.
Ben Arnett, row one.
Laird, kind of piggybacking on that, earlier this week, Carrick Jackson said when you hired him at Memphis, you two both shared with each other that this is the one place you'd leave Memphis. So this has been in your mind for a while. What is it about Mizzou, this job, maybe the things that are in place that made you feel that way, makes you feel like you can achieve those goals?
Well, certainly being here before gives you a real appreciation and perspective on the people and what Mizzou athletics means to the people of this state. So understanding that passion and how much people care. Of course, every place they love their institution, but being the university of this state and such a huge bonding fabric for the whole state, I think that's one of the things early on that gave me an appreciation for it. And really ever since, you want to be at the highest level. If you're a competitor, if you're in this business, you want to be in a position where you can compete for it all. And this is a place you can do that. So combining those two things together, it's the perfect fit for me.
Gabe DeArmond, row one.
Gabe DeArmond with Power Mizzou. This is for President Choi and Curator Winokur. You've said multiple times Laird is the perfect candidate right now. Can you get a little more specific on that and tell us why?
We highlighted the ability to generate revenue. That's well known. We wanted someone who was committed to championships and a championship culture. We wanted someone who could build on our momentum, and we saw that with many of the things he was doing in Memphis. And we wanted someone who wanted to be here. I think we've stated that pretty clearly, and that just came through in every interaction we had with AD Veatch.
In addition to what Curator Winokur said, he really believes in this university. It was so clear that he wanted to be here, that he was coming for a destination job. This was his dream job, and he's not going anywhere beyond this, and that was a commitment. And I feel that all of us deserve an AD that wants the job very, very much, and that came through. So on top of his fundraising skills, his ability to manage, work with coaches, on top of all of that, the fact that he really wanted to be here was very important.
Row two, Eli.
Eli Hoff with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for Laird. Congratulations. You talked about liking the alignment in the NAL space between the university and the legislature. Can you talk a little bit about how you evaluate that and just what the opportunity you see in that area is?
Yeah. Well, I will admit I certainly have a lot more learning to do as we move forward here in the weeks and months ahead, just about the whole structure of how we approach NIL here. But the fact that the athletic department, the university, the curators, and the state all came together real early on to identify a potential pathway to allow us to compete at an even higher level is awesome. I mean, what that could mean in terms of our ability to continue in that space is important. We are at a time in college athletics unlike it has ever been, and there's opportunity in that. And what I really appreciate is that they saw that opportunity and they're willing to get aggressive and pursue that and position us to be competitive.
Row 1, Blair Kirchhoff.
Hi, Laird. Congratulations.
Thanks, Blair.
You walked off the football field right into athletic administration. How did you know at such a young age you wanted a career in athletic administration?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. But the summer before my senior year, the co-captains and I, one of whom is Mr. Kirby Hokut, who many of you know down at Texas Tech, we were hired by the athletic department, that was legal in those days, to go around and speak on the Catbacker Tour and to Rotary clubs. And we got to not only see the interaction with fans and donors and the relationship side of that, but I also got to know Mr. Max Urich. So Max was my first athletic director, wonderful guy. He has been a friend for years and years. And seeing what he did gave me an insight into another pathway for me beyond coaching. Candidly, I didn't want to coach. What you all do, the dedication, the hours, the commitment, the stress, the difficulties of it, I also wanted to have a family, and I didn't think I could balance that. That was the honest truth. But I got to see another potential path to stay involved because sports was all I knew, and I loved that part of it. So I fell in love with it early on in terms of what it might be, and then when I came here, it was just solidified.
Question from row 1.
Michael Howie from the Columbia Missourian. Laird, welcome back to Columbia. I've got a two-parter for you. Number one, did you have a committee at Memphis similar to the Mizzou Intercollegiate Athletics Special Committee? And secondly, from conversations that you've had with members of that committee or with the board, what are your expectations for how that committee will work to oversee your athletic department?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. First of all, yes, we did have an athletics committee. Remarkably, I don't know why the timing was that way, but it was announced almost a week separation from when the Mizzou committee was announced. And this is the honest response I had was absolutely positive we need to have it. And the reason for that is because of what we just talked about from a college athletics standpoint, the dramatic change and transformation we're going through now. Alignment with leadership is critical because we are not only in a time when big, massive, challenging decisions need to be made, we are going to continue to be, right? We all project and see the changes. We don't know exactly what they're going to look like. We can speculate and wonder, but we need to be prepared and positioned to make those decisions. So having leadership that is not only aligned, but really understands our financial position, where we're at overall in the landscape, what our challenges are, what our priorities are, is not only important to be able to get things done, like what was done here with the NIL state law, but it's also going to be critically important moving forward when those decisions have to be made in very real time.
Question from row 2, Lucas.
Hi there, Mr. Veatch. Lucas Geisler, ABC 17. Would you mind sharing any of those unbelievable memories that you had of Columbia when you were here previously?
Oh man, here we go. I knew I was going to get asked this question, and there's so many to choose from. It's difficult. I will tell the Mizzou meat truck story because it's probably the most repeated among Tiger Scholarship Fund staff, those of us in the Alden's Army, when it came to the early days of being in the Tiger Scholarship Fund. So the summer of 1997, we talked earlier, I moved here. Ross and I started about a month apart. One of our early duties, my early duty, was to be in charge of the Mizzou meat program. So for those of you that don't know, there is a gift in kind program, which I found out still exists. I just found this out this morning, which shocks me. But there was a Mizzou meat program. We actually had a Mizzou meat truck. So big truck, diesel, had Mizzou meat painted on the side of the truck. And my duty was to be be in charge of this program. And the way it worked is we would drive around to 4-H fairs, county fairs in the state. We would hang out all day with the folks. They would buy the steers. They would turn around and donate them. Might have been a double tax deduction. I don't know. I can't claim that yet or not. And then we would take the steers, take them to the meat locker to have them processed and then be ready for our football players at the time. Now we were serving all of our student athletes really well. Back then it was primarily football players. So one day, it's a Sunday, I make Ross come with me. I was the one that had to drive the diesel truck. Right? He's sitting in the right-hand side. He's got his arm out of the window. And for those of you that haven't driven a truck with steers in the back, you may not know that things tend to move around a little bit, right? So we are going across, I believe it was the Boonville Bridge. Took out almost Ross's arm. Definitely took the mirror off the side of the truck as we're going across the bridge. We get across the bridge. We pull in to where the steers are going to be processed. And it's a Sunday, so nobody's there. So Ross and I literally have to back up the truck to the chute where the steers are at, get in the back of the truck, and get them out and down in. So you can imagine it was a little slippery, right? It was not the ideal experience for a young fundraiser, but it is an example of what it was like in the old days. So when any of my staff want to question my work ethic or my commitment to doing whatever it takes, now they know the Mizzou meat story.
Next question. Row 2, Callum.
Hi, Laird. Callum McAndrew, Columbia Daily Tribune. Congratulations. You mentioned Mike Alden and Joe Castiglione in your opening statement. I just wondered what lessons you learned from working under them and how you hope to emulate them in your time in Columbia.
Yeah. Learned a great deal from both of them and continue to this day, first of all. But I will particularly talk about Mike. I mentioned earlier, and I have said many times, he was the best teacher that I've had. He was challenging, right? He pushed us. We worked our tails off, and those were in the years of Ross and Mario Mocha and Eric Morrison, who I believe is in the crowd. So many others that a lot of young administrators that were willing to do whatever it takes, and he told us to run through the brick wall, and we did. But he also, I think, Mike was one of the first really, truly professional athletic directors. He wasn't a former coach. He was somebody that grew up in his mind to be an AD, and he taught us everything about the fundamentals. And there's a reason why so many of us are out there and have been and now in these kind of roles, because we knew how athletic departments were supposed to run. And he included us so early on. I remember being in the room listening to head coaching searches when I was 26, 27 years old. So the exposure that he gave us, he taught us there's certainly not one thing. It is multiple, and I owe a great deal to him.
Final question, please. Second row, middle.
Matthew Gustafson, Rock M Nation. FedEx recently announced a $25 million pledge to Memphis Athletics. Are you looking to make similar partnerships with business and corporations here at Mizzou?
Absolutely, I would love to. That's the first answer. First of all, I am greatly appreciative to FedEx. That is one of the things I'm going to miss. It's FedEx and the Memphis market. I told them, they are really good at shipping. They could just ship some of that up our way. I believe that major corporate NIL support has got to be part of the solution for the future of college athletics. So we are in such a time of transition. The way NIL in particular has evolved, the necessity of collectives is very real. But in my mind, we have to find a way to get back to what NIL was originally intended, which was more of the traditional endorsement or sponsorship directly with student athletes. I believe that is a more sustainable model. So we're going to need major corporations in the state of Missouri and beyond to invest in our student athletes that way. And I believe we also need to continue to try to break down barriers that exist within athletic departments or within NCAA rules that make that more and more difficult. So we created a model that I think can work when I was at Memphis, that I think we can take here and other places, but it needs to continue to evolve. One of the many things we need to do in that space.
For the media, there's going to be a breakout session afterwards, but for all of you, will you please stand and join me in a round of applause as we welcome home Laird and Brandy. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for being here today. MIZ,